Page 25, The Projection of the Astral Body, Sylvan, Muldoon and Hereward, Carrington. Chapter The Literature of the Subject. Much has been written in the past concerning the astral body, mostly in books devoted to magic and occultism. I believe that I have gone through the majority of such works carefully, in my endeavour to find some practical information bearing upon this question, but with little result. Thus are numerous references to the astral body in Eliphas Levi's Doctrine and Ritual of Magic, in his Key of the Mysteries, published in the Equinox, Volume 10, in A&E Waite's Mysterious of Magic, and the Occult Sciences, in Dr. Franz Hartmann's Magic, White and Black, and with various writings of Paracelsus. In the older works upon sorcery and witchcraft, there are, of course, frequent allusions to the astral projection. Theosophical literature is full of this subject, but even here I have been unable to find any precise information. Any practical instruction as to how the projection of the astral body is to be accomplished. This is true not only of the older works, such as Ledbetter's The Astral Plane and Annie Besant's Man and His Bodies, but also the newer and more voluminous treatises, such as those of the Major Arthur E. Powell, The Etheric Double, The Astral Body, The Mental Body. In all these books, such theoretical information is given, of course, from the strictly theosophical point of view, but very little practical advice. The same criticism applies of Dr. Dacier's book, Posthumous Humanity, a Study of Phantoms. Some interesting spontaneous experiences are given to Little Journeys in the Invisible, a woman's actual experience in the fourth dimension, by M. Gifford Shine. Some occult experience by Johann van Manen, My Travels in the Spirit World by Caroline D. Larson. And in other books of that kind, while some of the curious lore of a general nature is contained in The Astral Light by Nizida. An interesting historic study of this subject is given in G.R.S. Mead's Doctrine of the Subtle Body in Western Tradition, in which he summarizes the views of the early fathers as well as the later conceptions. Charles Halleck's book, Luminous Bodies, Here and Hereafter, contains little to the point. Occasional references to what Mr. Myers, in his human personality, called self-projection, may be found scattered through the journals and proceedings of the SPR, and the very striking case of Dr. Wilt's Proceedings 8 pp. Pages 180 to 194 is, of course, classical. The case of Reverend L. J. Bertrand, pages 194 to 200, is also of considerable interest. While the same may be said of the case recorded by Dr. I. K. Funk in his Psychic Riddle, pages 179 to 185, Mr. A. Campbell Holmes has some remarks upon the double in his Facts of the Psychic Sciences and Philosophy, while I have devoted chapters to the subject in my Modern Physical Phenomena, a higher physical development, several years ago. Mr. Prescott Hall published in the Journal of the ASPR a number of communications of considerable interest, which he had received regarding the astral body through the instrumentality of the blind medium. Their value, of course, depends altogether upon the authenticity of their source. This is practically all of the published material which I have been enabled to find relative to the astral body and its projection, with the exception of Mr. Oliver Fox's articles in the Occult Review to the quoted presently, and two books in French. These are La Fantôme des Vivants by H. Derville and Méthode de Bolument. I'm not French, so please accept my apologies. by M. Charles Lancelin. These will be quoted and referred to in full later on. But, as I have said, with these exceptions, I have found practically nothing of value in the entire literature of the subjects, and this criticism is especially true when we come to the most important and central theme of all: how to project the astral body experimentally and retain consciousness within it. Upon this vital theme of our authorities are especially silent. It is just here that Mr. Muldoon is most explicit. He explains in the greatest detail just how the projection of the astral body is to be effected, and he describes precisely what takes place in the subject's mind and body during such a projection, together with many other details connected with the process. Any impartial reader will agree, I think, with the conclusion that it would be impossible for Mr. Muldoon to have written as he has, to have acquired this knowledge, without in some sense experiencing what he claims to have experienced. His reading upon the subject has been very scant. His contact with anyone liable to possess even the tenth of this information is next to impossible. When we take into account the fact that he lives in an obscure village in the Middle West, no, his knowledge has been gained at first hand, and as a result of the actual experimentation that is very evident. How such information could have been acquired, had he not actually undergone the experiences, I leave it for the reader to decide. Spontaneous cases is next, in the next chapter, so starting on page 27. Okay, thank you. Apologies about my mispronunciations. Thank you.